with the crazy price action in silver and gold lately, my question is, with regard to other people and talking about your stack, how do they typically respond? Now, first and foremost, I know most stackers obviously don't talk to other people about their stack. But, I mean, in a time when you see lots of hype with gold and silver, you would think that, people start talking about it and you might, delve into a conversation with someone who has questions about it. Maybe not saying, what you have or what you do, but potentially letting them know, so your thoughts on said subject. I think it's interesting because, with stacking, I think it is one of those things that's kind of private because it is kind of just like the rest of your finances, right? It's not something that you particularly talk about. But it's also interesting that, myself, I think about, how people in their relationships, for example, your wife, your husband, whatever, talking about your stack. I think that's also potentially a really interesting topic because, people have different views on what it is to stack. I could see that potentially your partner, your wife, your husband, whatever, looking at your stack and thinking like, that's a waste of money, that's stupid, what are you doing? Even when you explain, that, it's a store of value, it's this, it's that, the other thing, there are going to be plenty of people out there who just don't get it. And kudos to them, right? I mean, we're all different and that's good. I mean, realistically, they may have a point for some of you that are just head over heels with, gold and silver. But the other part of that is like, does that lead to a divide where you kind of have to hide your stacking? And I think that's also an interesting point because, when it comes to real life, people get divorced and separate and blah, blah, blah. What happens to the stack? I think the thing with, stacking in general is that, it is to your benefit to kind of not talk about it and just kind of do it on your own, keep it kind of off the radar. The hard part too is that, let's say, for example, in the case of divorce, during discovery, if, you were going at it with each other, they're going to find your receipts for, paying, the coin shop or AppMex or JM Bullion. And so, if that was in the cards, and again, people never know, even, the best laid plans go out the window, buying peer-to-peer or cash at the coin shop or things like that could be a good bet because, that can save you tons later and keep a stash, that you have completely off the radar. Not saying that people do that, but again, something to think about. Whereas with cash, again, or other assets, you're not going to have that luxury. It's all on paper, it's all recorded. So I think it's interesting because these kind of things with regard to silver and gold and how people perceive them, the value, I think the thing for people who don't stack is they know there's value there. They know that, it's worth something, but it's just so out of their league as far as understanding that it's just not something they're comfortable with. So, you're not going to get buy-in from those kind of people about stacking. Interestingly, I always, of course, listen to the different political stuff, and I heard Trump talk about mining Bitcoin in America, which I thought was interesting because for a few reasons. Because first, a lot of, the more conservative people are anti-crypto because, for various reasons. I mean, some people don't like, the fact that, digital currency is going that way. Now, to be fair to Trump, what he was saying was, and again, this doesn't make any sense to me, but what he was saying was something along the lines of to avoid a centralized digital currency or Fed coin or whatever the hell, that, we should basically control the mining of Bitcoin. But on the flip side of that, I mean, the whole point of Bitcoin is, that it's supposed to be decentralized. So, I mean, who knows if that's the case? Who knows if, again, I mean, there's a bunch of conspiracy theories about Bitcoin itself. Who knows if it was actually created by one of these countries, us, who knows? We don't know. So again, all those things to the wind. But again, as it comes back to like, where gold and silver kind of fall on the grand spectrum of things, I think the thing is, at the end of the day, like, it's just one more thing, one more avenue that can, provide you different benefits and values. It has a cost. And I think that's something that gets lost on a lot of people. They look at, I'm just trading my worthless fiat for, precious metals, which are just going to maintain their value. And it's just not the case. Again, it has played out that way for quite a while. But the thing is, again, you cannot look at random periods of time and say, in the year 2000, it was this, and now it's this. your life doesn't line up with particular time frames. So unless you're taking it to the grave, and then, you know, again, as we talked about many times, your family's going to go take it to the pawn shop and get scalped for all your hard-earned money and hard work, and they're going to turn it into fiat, and then they're going to blow it on all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, that is what it is. That is literally what is going to happen. So, I mean, there's that. But also, I mean, the other side of the equation is, you know, with regard to how much you've put into it, yes, it is a good store of value, and there's no doubt about that. Is it, you know, a good investment? I would say no. Is it a good insurance policy against various different things? Kind of. I don't know if it's a good insurance policy, but it is an insurance policy. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can use it. Again, as I just talked about, I mean, that's just one of the other things that you can use it for, you know, something completely off the radar that serves you in some way. But these kind of things are important, right? Because you're putting your hard-earned money into it. It's interesting to me that, again, you hear, you know, so much about the economy is bad. The economy is not bad. I mean, whether, I don't care about your political lean, the economy is not bad. That doesn't mean that your situation is great, and that's completely understandable. Or wherever you are, the local economy may be bad. I mean, that happens. There's just no way around that. But the United States economically is actually doing very well. Nothing to do with Joe Biden, nothing to do with Trump. It actually comes down to cheap money. I mean, period. The cheap money runs the game. And historically, even at the interest rates that we have now, money's pretty cheap. The thing is that, again, the United States and the world at this point is basically a drug addict that's addicted to cheap money. That is what it is. And that will drive the economy moving forward. Make no mistake. Rates going down at some point, even slowly, will drive economic activity. Now, does that mean that the economy will stay at this level? No, that is the other part. No matter who gets elected next, doesn't matter. At some point, the economy will slow. Why? Because consumption, just normal economic activity, at some point that will slow down. It doesn't mean a recession, doesn't mean the 70s, doesn't mean anything like that. It just means it's not going to stay at this level forever. And again, that is the problem. Like, this is what I really don't like about, you know, how Trump kind of touted something as far as the economy was doing. No, it wasn't. His economy was the same. He literally continued the same BS that Obama was doing. There was nothing special about Trump's economy. Remember how he was saying he was going to do 4% GDP? He never even got remotely close. I don't even think he broke 3% GDP. So again, it's not, you know, these people are all birds of a feather, and the economic cycle trumps anything that they're going to do, you know, with, you know, regard to their policies and things like that. Of course, they can have an effect on certain things, but where I'm going with that is, if the economic cycle slows down, if the economic activity slows, I would expect that silver comes back to earth pretty quickly. Again, industrial metal, driven by industrial demand. Gold, I'm not sure about. Gold, on the other hand, there's a different catalyst that I see coming on the horizon that's going to drop gold prices, which is if rates come back down, again, it makes it less attractive to hold gold and more attractive to hold, again, digital gold, which would be U.S. Treasuries. U.S. Treasuries are the new gold, whether you like it or not. The United States, the dollar is extremely strong versus the rest of the world, whether you like it or not. Is that a good thing? As a consumer, it's a good thing. As a economy, it's not great to have a strong dollar because it affects businesses. But you know, there's so many moving parts there, and to pull that away from the political BS, no matter what your favorite bird is and what song you like to hear and how they're going to do this and that for you. No. I mean, Joe Biden, I mean, he is what he is. I mean, he's nobody's favorite. Trump, I mean, the dude, a man of the people. Yeah, he's a real man of the people. He's really fighting the system. It's hilarious to me, like the people who are like, he's fighting the man. No, he's not. What? Comedy. But again, Joe Biden, same thing. Joe Biden is not, you know, a man of the people. He's a career politician, always been a politician. Him, I mean, I have no problem with Hunter Biden, Trump, Don Jr., all these guys. Take Biden too. Lock them up, throw them all in a cell. I really couldn't care less. I'm not worried about it. I don't spend my time thinking about it. But at the end of the day, like I said, what do these things mean for silver and gold? Gold, what's going to happen when rates drop? Price of gold will fall. Why? Because all of the hype about central banks buying Gold, why did they do that? They bought that to get out of US Treasuries because you don't want to be holding debt, fixed income of any kind in a rising interest rate environment. As soon as that changes, the paradigm changes, and I don't need gold anymore. I don't need to pay the fixed cost of holding gold. I don't need to do any of that. I can go right back to holding treasuries. Silver, like I said, economic activity is going to be the biggest driver. Will it stay at this level? No, it won't. And it has nothing to do with who gets elected or doesn't get elected. Nothing. That is just normal economics. At some point, it will slow. You can only have so many cars, so many refrigerators, so many TVs. You don't need to keep buying. And what happens when that stops? Economic activity slows. These kind of things, they're all important, but there's always value.